Hello, everybody. Welcome to Service and Sacrifice this week, Friday, May the 8th. I'm Ryan Peterson. We thank you so much for joining us here on WTEN Plus. As always, I am joined by Dom and Emil. Gentlemen, how are we feeling?
Feeling great.
Yeah?
How are you feeling?
Don't all go at once.
I've adjusted to spring.
It's a little, it's a little cold and rainy out today.
I don't like cold and damp. I don't.
Hey,
Arthritis.
listen, there's no ice out there. I'm putting my boat in the water this week, so I'm stoked. I'm loving it.
And I'm going to sail that boat this week.
No, you're not.
The sunshine will be back before we know it. Lawns need the rain. Emil, recently you did a radio tour, did you not?
I did.
We're on a bunch of different stations through Albany Broadcasting. What was the topic of discussion?
Well, one of the things that we talked about, these were oldies stations, the majority of them, and that meant that it's going to have some senior citizens similar to me, and certainly young people too, but addressing to veterans the benefits that they're due, the reason they want to take advantage of them, and how to take that advantage. Because honestly, I think there's so many veterans of my generation that have no idea. Nobody's ever explained it. Nobody's ever talked about it or created the thought. And that thought, yes, they need to hear it, but I also always address that to the family members and to relatives and even to grandchildren, because I think the veterans certainly would enjoy having a younger person there to understand the process, the automated parts, and understand exactly what choices to make to get these active and to start using them or getting them ready for an age where they may absolutely need these in the future, and better to do it now while they're still functioning mentally enough to get it started.
Dom, no matter what we talk about here on this program from week to week, it always comes back to this one sentiment, and that is get enrolled.
Yeah, absolutely. Emil, how many times have you and I spoken, and we find a veteran who's at their, last years of life and they don't get enrolled? How do we enroll them? It's almost like, flushing a fire. Don't wait for that, As soon as you can get enrolled, if you're a veteran, enroll. Get the access to care. No, as we get older, things worsen. So if you have a service connection, get in that service connection. Service connections usually grow because it hurts more. It's if you're service connected for your feet, what happens to your knees? Knees are connected to the feet. If if the knees are going wrong, what happens to the hips? The hips are an issue. Then it's the back. We have to get service connected. Get those veterans. Do not wait until you're 70, 80 years old in your deathbed and now I need VA help. I need primary care. Don't wait until that long. A lot of veterans store their records. Don't wait until you forget where your records are. Do it now. The VA is here. The VA wants to help. We have community-based outpatient clinics if you don't want to go to Albany. Get the care now. Do not wait until it's too far and it's gotten too dark. Do not wait. We want to see you now.
And Emily, you wanted to make sure we get this number. This is a toll-free number. That's just a basic starting point for anybody. But again, if you're local and in the immediate capital region or have one of those outposts near you, you can get in person and get the ball rolling too. But first and foremost, here's a hotline number you can call up and get enrolled.
This is the VA. It's from 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. It's a national number. Call it with a family member. Call it with your grandchild even. They're going to understand and be able to communicate some of the explanations of what you need and how to process this. But again, people don't think they have some sort of Medicare, Medicaid, and then things get very expensive with illnesses later. And if you have the VA, everything's at no cost. If you have a disability, it's something that's going to take care of you very, very well.
And you got enrolled in time, but if memory suits, you could have gotten enrolled sooner, right?
I could have quite a bit. But I had a different view. I had great insurance, great job, and I didn't want to take money away from vets that I thought needed it more. And now I found out everybody that signs up gets the VA more funds to help every veteran. Even if they sign up and never go to the VA, they're helping other veterans by just signing up with the VA.
Right, and that's something we've said before too, right, Tom?
Absolutely. Veterans don't understand. They think they're taken away from other veterans, and it's the opposite. The more veterans we tend to, the more benefits are available, the more the VAs grow. And I love that you brought up families and letting families know, because it's true. A lot of the times the veterans don't want to come in and their spouses see it and they're like, hey, you really need to do this, and it happens. I know it happens with me with my pills. I never take my pills, and God bless my wonderful, beautiful wife. And she's always like, Dom, take these pills. Dom, take these pills. Dom, you make sure you get an appointment for this. And a lot of the times our spouses and our children and our grandkids are our foundation, and they're the ones that push us to get that health care that we need.
Well, this isn't believable. I can tell you, though, how many 20 and 30-year-olds I say, hey, can you make this work? I can't get my computer or phone to work.
And that's another thing is you can sign up using that hotline. You could sign up using the internet. You can come in person. There's so many various ways to enroll into the VA Medical Center.
Yeah.
Making it as easy as possible. One last time, take a look at the number right there. Make note of it. Write it down. When we come back, a special guest joining us today, fellow Vietnam veteran Kevin Shephard, the Greenwich VFW Post, and he's going to tell us all about a wellness summit that's coming up at the end of May up in Greenwich at the high school, and all sorts of things for our veterans and our first responders to take advantage of, especially when it comes to their mental health. So stay tuned for that. He's coming up right after the break here on Service and Sacrifice. Welcome back, everybody, to Service and Sacrifice. We're going to introduce our special guest right now. Kevin Shephard joins us. Kevin is a fellow Vietnam veteran alongside Emil Baker. He's also a Purple Heart recipient, also affected by Agent Orange. He's a member of the Greenwich VFW Post 7291, and he joins us to talk to us more about the Wellness Summit and everything that's going to be available there towards the end of the month. Kevin, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor. What you're doing for the veterans is just phenomenal.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate being here, and especially with the other members here. It's just an honor. But thank you.
We thank you for your service. And speaking of, if you don't mind, can you talk to us a little bit about your service, why you got into the military, and your time in Vietnam?
Shortly after high school, I was drafted way back when, in 1968, and was drafted into the Army, and I went to basic training and advanced infantry training, and then was deployed to Vietnam for a year in 1968.
Did you serve the time that was mandatory for you to serve? Did you end up making more of a career out of the military, Kevin?
I didn't. No, I did the 2 years of active service, and then the 2 years of the inactive service in the reserves.
So how important is it for our veterans who are seeking help? They're seeking those resources, those benefits, and we'll get to more on the actual summit that you guys are hosting in a little bit. But as far as you're concerned, how important is it for them to access this help?
Extremely important. And there are just so many veterans each year that are committing suicide, roughly about 17 a day. And that number's way too high. So we had been talking about it in the VFW, and we decided to have this summit. I was familiar with Dr. Berry, and he agreed to come up and do it. And it's extremely important for the mental health of the veterans and their families. We have to include their families, because without that support, the family support.
And we've talked about that a lot here, and the signs they need to look out for. What are you hearing from some of the younger veterans, perhaps, Kevin, the veterans that are coming out of that global war on terrorism campaign and who have served most recently? What do you hear from them?
They are very dedicated to the veteran services. See so many younger members joining the American Legion and the VFW. That's a great support group for veterans, but they also have sacrificed a lot, and mental health is important going forward for not only Vietnam veterans, but also the other veterans that are just getting out.
And Emily, your biggest thing all the time is encouraging these veterans to get involved, reach out to the VA, reach out to these other organizations, and seek that help.
Part of the problem's been for so many years they had no intention of doing it. They haven't thought about it. They don't even know the process, and it's so simple to do. And they're getting older, and it's getting to the point where it's hard to take that initiative to make those changes and initialize them, even though it is not hard to do. And there's plenty of help and volunteers that will help them through that whole process. And it's just encouraging them and their family members to have them take advantage of what's there.
Emil says it's not that hard to do, Dom, and it really isn't, right?
No, it isn't. But this is a common situation that we see all the time. And Kevin, I'm going to ask you a question. When did you begin enrolling into the VA Medical Center? At what age?
Probably about 15 years ago, so I'll say 77 now.
That's my point. In the first segment, we talk about enrolling into the VA too late. Now, the earlier we enroll, the better it is. The more we could lock in our benefits. If you wait, things don't get better with health as you wait. So it's very important that we enroll into the VA and we lock in those benefits. We understand what the benefits are. Again, a lot of veterans, they get back and they say, "Oh, I'm fine. I don't need health benefits yet." And they either put away their medical records away and they forget it 50 years later, or they never gotten their medical records, and now they're stuck in limbo. And the time may be too late. So why not do it now? And as we just are talking with Kevin, I mean, how old are you, Kevin? 72?
77.
77. So we're talking about in his 60s. This is a common occurrence that we see with our veterans, but we want to help them out. And I know you love your service at the VA. I see you there quite frequently. And
Dom, to help answer that question is my feeling was when I got out, the VA benefits were those for the ones that serviced a full career in any of the branches. I thought that it was just for them. It wasn't for a veteran that served for 2 years and was deployed, but I thought it was for them. I didn't realize what every veteran had available to them.
Another sentiment we hear a lot, right? It's not for me, it's for somebody else.
And this is coming from a Purple Heart recipient.
Exactly. All right, hold that thought. When we come back, we're going to get more into the Wellness Summit itself and more questions for Kevin Shephard here on Service and Sacrifice. We're back after a quick break. Welcome back to Service and Sacrifice, joined this week by Vietnam veteran Kevin Shephard, also a member of VFW Post 7291 out of Greenwich. And we've been talking a lot about already how to take advantage of the VA, get that health care, get those benefits. Kevin, we were talking about the unfortunate suicide rate among our veterans in this country, and it has only gone up. You came together with your fellow members at the Post there in Greenwich, coming up with this Wellness Summit. I'm going to pull up some of the details right here. This is coming up Saturday, May 30th, the end of the month, at Greenwich Central High School. And not just veterans, Kevin, but we're talking about our first responders as well. Because as we all know, they too deal with similar things on their jobs. So tell me all about this and once again, how it came about.
I had met this Dr. Berry, who is a renowned psychiatrist, and he has been doing these summits for some time now, goes all over the country. And he agreed to come up. I mentioned it to him, and then I approached the VFW to sponsor it. And it's so important for our first responders and their families. I'm a 60-year service in the volunteer fire service, and I can't tell you what I've seen over the years. Also as a fire investigator for many years. And I served for 27 years with the state police. And, the PTSD affects all of us. What we see almost on a daily basis is just where the mental health really needs to play an important part.
And do you find it's easier to talk to somebody who has had a similar experience? I often hear that it's difficult for our veterans or first responders to talk to family members because they haven't experienced the same thing.
Right. It was I'm going to say a male macho kind of thing. Doesn't pertain just to males, obviously, but you were keeping everything inside. And when you don't share that with your loved ones, that's not a good thing. They need to, share their experiences and their dedications.
So, Kevin, I've talked to Emil about this before, you both coming out of the Vietnam era and talking about how things at the VA, services and benefits that are available, how much they have changed. And Emil has often told me when he came out of the service, coming out of Vietnam, didn't know what to do, didn't know anything existed. And really there wasn't a lot that existed. Is that true?
Yes.
As far as the help that's available now.
True.
Yeah.
And, what you guys do here, like I said, is just amazing. And to get that information out. One of the things we do in the VFW is have these breakfasts, and they call them musters. And it's free for veterans. They come in and they have breakfast, and then we bring in Dom and some of his people and talk about the different services that are available for veterans. And it's amazing when people show up and they have no clue of any of the services. And that's where I was, 15 years ago.
Well, yeah, you said before the break, you said you thought that accessing those VA benefits was more for somebody else, but not for you. Coming out of your era, you thought it was for the Korean veterans, not for you. And again, Emil, that's something you've shared with us before too.
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of an ironic thing. I just met Kevin. We're about the same age. And I joined VA services 15 years ago also. So that's our mindset of our generation. And there was fortunately some information about joining and presumptive illnesses and things at that point, which made me do it and made you do it.
Right.
And you need that encouragement and you need that explanation. And nobody is more credible to me than another veteran telling me something, because they understand it, they know it. Family members don't understand. They care, but they don't understand, and they can't respond to it. So veterans telling other veterans are perfect.
Let's put the details up here once again. So if you're watching, take a look at your screen here. Again, this is coming up Saturday, May 30th. Admission is free. This is from 9 to 12:30, Greenwich Central High School. And they're going to be joined. The featured speaker is a gentleman that Kevin's been talking about, Dr. Andrew Barry, renowned psychologist, subject matter expert when it comes to post-traumatic stress disorder and all kinds of stuff. And again, it's not just our veterans, but also our first responders and their family members and those that care for them, right?
That's correct. Yes, most definitely. So important.
All right, we'll make sure we get people out there. This will all be online as well once it gets posted. Kevin Shephard, thank you so much for coming in today. Sir, it was a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for the information. Hopefully we get a nice turnout at the end of the month.
That would be great.
All right, we're back.
Thank you so much.
One last time right after this here on Service and Sacrifice on WTEN+. Welcome back to Service and Sacrifice. Our thanks once again to Kevin Shephard. Honored to meet him. What a tremendous guy. And we mentioned it there while we were talking to Kevin about the importance of getting enrolled, getting those benefits, and hearing him say he felt he got into it a little late, really just about 15 years ago, and how he thought when he first came out of Vietnam that it was really just limited to the Korean guys at the time of the era. And don't do that.
See it all the time. Kevin's an example of that.
And he's involved in a lot, Dom, right? You see him around the VA a lot.
Kevin's a retired state trooper, a great man. He also has been in the fire. He's a volunteer firefighter. I believe he's been doing that for 60 years. And I think he's actually getting an award soon regarding that. He is an advocate for veterans through the VFW. And, I was just conversing on the break with Emil, and that's something that we do. That's something that grounds us is volunteering, getting involved with the community. I know for myself, I'm involved with the New York, the Friends of the Military Museum. I'm an elk in my community. I get involved with stand downs. I know I'm going to be at a stand down this Saturday. I was just involved in a stand down this past Saturday, and it keeps you grounded. It keeps you, your mind elsewhere. Helping veterans is just something that just keeps that void filled. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this is the same with you, Emil.
It is. And what you feel is you're serving with other military people when you're in these groups of military veterans. It's almost like being in the service. You have your camaraderie. You have fellow veterans who did the same thing, and you can communicate well. You can understand what they feel. They can understand what you feel, and it really is so much better than being just with civilians.
And you're surrounded by that family. And I love that you bring up the civilians, because when I joined the Elks, I immediately became chair of the Veterans Committee. With the Friends of the Military Museum, it's all military guys, it's generals, colonels, veterans, and you need to keep that, because I know in my neighborhood, I think there's only 2 veterans in the neighborhood, so it's hard for us to interact. But you need that family. You need to have that service that you miss so much. Those friends, those comrades. You need that, and to be able to help them and find new military friends, that's something else.
Yeah.
How important is it? You've both talked about it, but getting involved in the community. You use the word grounded. By volunteering, what do you think that does for you that helps so much?
It helps me think about how I can help other people bypass some of their problems, some of their mental concerns, some of their physical concerns, and how to get help, and that it's okay to ask for help and it's okay to get help. And people just don't feel that naturally. That's something that they have to be almost convinced of. And if you're somebody that took advantage of something and got help yourself, and you tell them that, it gives it a lot of credibility when you're telling it to them, and they believe it, and they want to do it because you did it. You paved the way through that help process.
Dom, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, a little bit. And I say this in just about every episode. Everyone's different. Not every veteran's the same. We're all different. And for me, getting involved with the community it keeps me grounded in the way that I'm not thinking about, Afghanistan. It helps me with empathy. It's a big thing. I get triggered a lot when I hear people say, "Oh, I'm hungry," or "It's too cold," or "I just work too much." I immediately go back and it could get so much worse. And it really grounds you. It grounds me at least. And I'm able to show more empathy. I'm able to understand better. We all come back different. Some are able to adjust rapidly. Others, it takes time. Some never do. And that's why it's really important to attend these mental health summits like Kevin Shephard and the VFW in Greenwich. And I don't know if you ever heard of Doc Berry, but I hear really good things about him. I've seen him before, never truly met him, but I'm really excited to hear him on May 30th.
Yeah, got the details up on the screen here once again. Just go over it May 30th. It's a Saturday, Greenwich Central High School. Again, Dr. Andrew Doc Berry will be there speaking. Free admission, no need to register ahead of time. It's from 9 to 12:30. And again, open to our veterans and all our first responders and their families as well. If you need more information, you can see there on the screen. Kevin's got his number right there. We'll get that out online as well when this gets posted to our YouTube channel, so it'll be real easy for everybody to access that information. But I want to remind you all again, if you have questions, you have any concerns, let us know. Yeah. Email me directly, rpeterson@news10.com. And we've got Emil and Dom here each and every week. We'll get the answers to your questions. Anything you want to know about the VA, resources and support available to our veterans here in the Capital Region. I thank you once again for joining us here on Service and Sacrifice on WTEN Plus. We'll see you next week.